Crypto has changed dramatically in the year 2026. I mean, we had so many different variations of alt seasons from crypto gaming in 2021 to AI in 2024 to meme coin seasons 2024 into 2025. Now we're in this little bit of a middle ground. I think it's safe to say we are in the middle of a bear market. What can you be doing right now to maximize your time in the market? And I'm talking about how to know which coins to continue to accumulate during this time period, how to eliminate projects from your watch list, which tokens am I looking at this point in time, the only tokens that I want exposure to even during this time in the market. And also the biggest question of how to make sure you are well positioned and timed for the bottom of this bear market. So most importantly in this video, I'm going to be talking about what I am doing with my current capital and my current altcoin positions, as I don't hold too many at this stage in crypto. But I think what you can be doing with your capital is very important and valuable even in a bear market. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. And as always, guys, be sure to drop down below if you enjoy the content here on In the Game across Hyperliquid, Bittensor Tau, just overall crypto updates. You can hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel for more. And you can expect so much more content like you've been seeing on this channel. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors down below in the description. I do want to give a big shout out to Gravity. It does feel like their airdrop campaign is getting closer to TGE. And on point estimates here, if you have been farming Gravity down below in the description, the value per point projections are getting pretty crazy. Even at $100 million market cap, if you have 1,000 points, it's looking like a pretty juicy potential airdrop. And of course, you can earn yield on your stable coins up to 18%. Now, this is powered by them giving back parts of their fees from the exchange to you, the user. So check out Gravity down below. Let's go ahead and jump right into the video. Obviously, Bitcoin is taken a bit of a slide this week. We got back up to 76K. We saw this big time rally in the market, but that is the question, right? Is it strictly just a bear market rally? Honestly, and I mean, I hate to say, I do think it was just a bear market relief rally. We had basically fell like a knife from 126K all the way down to $60,000. And if we look at this all chart here, let's just go to the year chart. I don't know. To me, it did look a bit like just a bear market rally from this time period here at 62 all the way up to that $74,000 level. To me, it did feel more like a relief than the local bottom of the market. And the market's showing us that right now, right? Over the course of this week, we're down 7%. I would not be surprised to see us slide closer to $60,000. But of course, I'm not here to play the next week game. And I think that's very important because in crypto, everyone gets caught up with the shiny object. And of course, the shiny object over the last couple of weeks for most people in crypto has been Bittensor Tau. But if you've watched my channel for any single time period, you know I talk about this coin every single week for the past 2 years. So like, we're not vacationers when it comes to this coin, but everyone tries to coattail that narrative. And you'll be able to see a lot more Tau content on this channel, but it is just an example of everyone is so short-term minded and they go leverage long on something that they have no idea what it is. And when reality, like, your conviction is what's going to get you paid in this industry when it comes to your investments. And right now we have some good stuff going on in the market, right? We see Morgan Stanley launching its Bitcoin ETF with a 0.14% fee, the lowest fee rate in the industry. So we're seeing lower fee offerings, competitive offerings being launched here by the institutional giants like Morgan Stanley on their Bitcoin ETF. We're seeing mechanisms that we've never seen before, which is basically ever-going volume-generated Bitcoin buy machine from Michael Saylor. We see here Stretch today. The ATM window is open, so it looks like today Stretch will be buying Bitcoin. Now, this is basically a stock on the stock market, and it is a preferred stock. You buy in, and if it hits that $100 threshold, they buy Bitcoin every single day with those proceeds. So pretty good flywheel here. And today we do have a Bitcoin buy coming through. through. So these are some elements, ETFs and stretch, some of these things that are putting consistent buy pressure into Bitcoin. But still, I don't think that these are the types of catalysts to mark a bottom. They are very good catalysts, especially when we kick back up. But most importantly, most people are wondering, number one, are alts dead? Is the overall dream of an alt season, is that long gone? What should I be doing? Should I be in full stables? Should I be allocated into positions? I'm going to go over that in this video. And also as to my main positions, my biggest positions in my portfolio, I'm not only just holding them, I'm utilizing them to make yield on top of my investment. So let's go ahead and dive into that. Number one, is alt season dead? That is a question I see in my comments all the time. I see it on crypto Twitter. I see it across many different avenues. And let me just be completely honest with you. I think that alt season as we know it probably is dead. In 2021, you could hold any living, breathing crypto token and make money. In 2023, you could have done that. In 2024's bull run with AI, you could have held any vaporware token, even gaming tokens that just had no business doing well at that point in time. And of course, yes, was I bullish on that narrative? Of course, but good investors are going to change their thesis over time. And if we're being realistic, back in the days when we actually had huge alt seasons, Bitcoin and crypto wasn't so controlled by the institutions. Now BlackRock has their hands all into it. All the banks do. Things are just not going to operate the exact same as we have seen in the past. But the one thing we can count on is quality alts, right? And we've seen that over and over again with some of the recent altcoins that have been running. And that's all I'm focused on. So, of course, I've also seen comments on this channel like, Hustle, you're covering the same core tokens over and over again. And yes, that is something I actually plan to continue to do, because I think that right now there's probably less than 5, maybe 10 coins that any given crypto person should even care to hold, right? A lot of these things have been here for a little bit too long. They're not making revenue as a business. The chain isn't getting usage. There's so many different metrics to look at to say, wow, this coin has been an invalidation. I think that there comes a point where you have to say this coin is not worth investing into anymore, and actually kind of consolidating your conviction into the ones that are actually producing valuable metrics at this point in time, which is exactly what I've done. So you can expect much more of the coverage on the tokens that I think are going to lead the next charge. Number one, Hyperliquid. You see Hyperliquid, and people might, see a lot of Hyperliquid content on my channel and say, I wish he would talk about this coin. But the thing is I'm going to be very much focused on the conviction plays and the ones I think are going to actually make people the most gains whenever the market does turn around without having to provide such downside risk. I feel like the downside risk on something like Hyperliquid is very minimum, but the upside risk, I think $100 is absolutely in the cards for the future. And most importantly, I'm not just sitting on the token and holding it. Now, this is going to get into what you should be doing with your capital during these points of time. So, of course, I have a nice sized Hyperliquid bag, but I've taken a big chunk of that, a reasonable chunk, and I'm actually farming yield on top of Project X. So what I'm doing here, you can see here, you can filter by APR. And on some of these pairs, just by holding Hyperliquid against your USDC, you can yield up to 152% APR. So this is something I'm actively doing. If the Hyperliquid price goes up, it sells some of that into USDC, and then you can go in and rebalance or buy back, or you can treat that as a take profit on portions of your bag. If USDC or if Hyperliquid goes down, it actually will start moving some of that USDC into Hype. But most importantly, you're generating fees off of the chain and the swaps and the liquidity from this token. So this is something I'm very actively doing at this point in time. And the Hyper EVM chain, I feel like is going to have a massive blow off top whenever we do see a bottom in this market, which traditionally speaking is about a year from the previous top. So between August to October, we could probably expect to see a major relief at that point in time, and not just a relief rally, probably the bottom of the bear market at that point in time. So this is something I'm doing right now with my Hyperliquid. I have a portion of mine in, of course, cold storage. And then I am looking at yield. I want to generate yield across my positions, and I'm doing that actively right now on Hyperliquid. And most importantly, most specifically, I'm in the Hype USDC pairs that are generating very, very nice yield. Moving on, of course, Bittensor Tau. This is the best example of what is wrong with crypto right now. And I tweeted about this today. Now, Bittensor Tau is not what's wrong with crypto. I'm the biggest bull you'll ever find on Bittensor Tau. But vacationers came into this token over the last couple of weeks and saw it all over the timeline and said, oh, I'm going to leverage long this. I'm going to buy it now. I have no idea what it does. And then it goes down and they're going to say, oh, it's a scam, not here to stay, this. So vacationers are leaving. The people who actually don't care about Tau, they're already selling because of the little bit of a dip in price action. And to be fair, the dip is not that bad. We're still over $300 over the month. It's still in the green. If we were to just look here at the monthly chart, like taking us from $175 to above $308, and people are starting to say, oh, it's going down, the run's over. We're still over 100% from all-time highs on this token, and I think that is a very short-sighted mindset. The people who are left holding right now are the actual people who are going to win whenever we see new all-time highs, and the actual AI super cycle does play out to its fullest, which I think is going to happen, and decentralized AI like Bittensor Tau that is also openly available to the public. So every time, this is one issue I have. Every time I tell people to buy Hyperliquid, they don't even know what it is. A lot of people, and specifically, you can now get it on Coinbase, luckily, but most people have no idea what it is. But I'll say an AI project like Tau, and some of them have either heard of it or they have easier exposure to it. And Grayscale has a specific Grayscale Bittensor Trust for private placement for accredited investors. So not even just retail, they're giving big money the opportunity to get into this token. Recently, it did $1 billion in daily volume for the first time ever. And what I'm doing with my bag here is quite easy. On the native wallets, whether you're using Tau Stats, the official Bittensor wallet, the Talisman wallet, which is what I usually use, you can actually jump in here and jump into the subnets. Templar, which is the one that Jensen Huang was endorsing last week or a couple of weeks back, is paying 7.78% emissions. So that means every single day, they're getting 7% of the total mined emissions from Bittensor Tau. And that goes back into the holders who are actually buying the subnets. So what you do, you actually stake your Tau into subnets. You get that subnet token as a reward. And then by holding, you actually get paid the emissions to hold these tokens. I'm playing it very simply. I'm allocated into Templar, I'm allocated into Targon, and I'm allocated into Bitcast. Why? I think that those are three very good business models at this point in time, but there's other great ones. There's so many good startups / subnets on Bittensor to take a look at. So we're going to be doing a lot more of that on this channel. But this is what I'm doing with my Bittensor bags. I'm just making sure I'm getting the maximum emissions. And Templar and Targon, I think, are by far the two best products on top of Bittensor Tau. So actively, my two biggest alt positions in my portfolio are not Ethereum, not Solana. Times are changing. I would much rather hold stuff like Hyperliquid or Bittensor Tau than Ethereum in 2026. People could call me insane. I don't care. I think from an upside perspective, I think from a relevance perspective, I think that these new cycle products are absolutely hotter, and I'm not going to say more use case, but are currently way more high up on the ladder on people's minds, right? People are upset at Ethereum that it didn't make new all-time highs. And even if you get new all-time highs on Ethereum, it's a 2.5x. Whereas I think that Hyperliquid and Bittensor Tau can give you much better upside. And also they just have more momentum socially. So I do think that these are very high upside. But what I'm doing with both of my biggest altcoin holdings is effectively taking them and gaining yield through Bittensor subnets and also yield farming on the Hyper EVM chain. From there, this is your time. So for me, you guys watch this channel, I'm buying a lot of Bitcoin. I'm buying Tau. I'm buying Hyperliquid. I have the risk tolerance to continue to buy and hold and make sure that we make it to the next bull market. Okay. That is effectively my strategy. I want as much physical coins, not physical, I guess, but in the sense of number of coins in my wallet across Bitcoin, Tau, Hyperliquid. I think that's all you need really to win in this next leg up. I want as much of that as possible. So I'm just trying to rack up, no matter if the market goes up, down, I'm allocating part of my capital, part of my income into these projects. And then from there, it's the time to research. If you're going to find out which projects are doing revenue, which projects are doing buybacks, which have been really effective at this point in time. Are there any emerging products coming up on your timeline? So you can see like DPIN projects. Aether is doing 55 million in revenue. Render's doing $38 million in revenue. So I do think that you have to start digging into which projects are still relevant, making money. I do like Render a whole lot, especially in the AI narrative. I would have to say behind Tau, that is one that I am pretty bullish on. And then also I'm keeping an eye on other protocols like Kita. Kita is kind of like XRP, payment settlement layer. They have so many different things going on across their ecosystem. They acquired a bank charter, and they haven't even announced who that's with yet. So that's a catalyst coming up. Price action has absolutely tanked over the course of this bear market, but I do think that this has good upside whenever the market turns around. You can see Belmar saying KTA is undervalued. Act accordingly. I do agree. But these are ones I'm willing to more wait on to make bigger buys as to whenever I feel more confident the market has bottomed. So for now, Kita is a smaller position. Render is a smaller position in my overall portfolio, whereas I'm weighted very heavily into Bitcoin, Hyperliquid, and Bittensor Tau. And then last but not least, doesn't matter how much capital you're playing with, you can be taking advantage of airdrops during this time. And I'm not talking about the little tiny protocol that's going to give you $7 for participating. I'm talking about Polymarket, the biggest prediction market company in the world. If you get up to $50,000 volume on Polymarket, you are a top 3% wallet. That effectively puts you in the top 3% of the airdrop criteria just by doing that. And also, you can find strategies to make money here. We have Polymarket tutorials on the channel, exactly how I am going over and coming to the Polymarket site, making money. And on top of that, farming the airdrop. We also have copy trade tutorials, and you can export that wallet out of Telegram and actually use it on Polymarket and effectively qualify just by copying profitable traders. Gravity, we talked about earlier. You can farm this. If you get up to 1,000 points, projections were about $3,000 in airdrop if they're even valuated at $100 million. So these are the big fish. I don't really care to go farm the next crypto game coming up, or the little small project that might hit 20 million FDV and give the peanuts to the audience and the farmers. We've seen that time and time again. Stuff like Gravity, EdgeX, Polymarket. Those are the ones that I really want to farm. Yeet, for example. We have an airdrop guide video as well going over all of these protocols, but that's what I'm doing in the market. I'm focusing on stacking my positions in my highest conviction plays, also accumulating stable coins, keeping stables on the side so I can make bigger buys on, lower conviction coins, but coins I still like Akita, for example, whenever the time comes and I feel like, okay, this could really shoot up quickly 3 to 5x if the market turns around. We haven't seen that yet. So I'm still reserving those stable coins and then effectively taking my biggest positions, earning yield off a portion of those plays. And of course, farming airdrops on the big protocols. I don't care about the little protocols at this point in time. I'm going to maximize my volume, maximize my time. So when these big projects, TGE, like a Polymarket or like a Gravity, that I am well allocated. So that's what I'm doing in this market. I wanted this video to more so serve as a recap of, okay, we're in end of Q1. Q1 ends tomorrow. So looking across the first 3 months of the year, it was good to see a retaliation a little bit on Bitcoin. We also saw a Hyperliquid run from 27 up to $40. We saw Bittensor Tau go from 175 almost to $400. And you're going to see much more coverage on this channel around those two projects. But I wanted this to serve as, okay, Q1's over. What am I doing with my capital? Where am I focusing on? What are the platforms I'm using to focus on these different narratives? And also, what is my game plan? When do I think Bitcoin's going to bottom? We kind of went over all of that in this video. And of course, we're still going to have you covered Monday through Friday, regardless of market conditions, with everything I can give you guys to make sure that we are making money and staying on top of the crypto markets, whether we are in a bear market or hopefully sooner than later that we are in a bull market, guys. So drop down below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for more. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Trade responsibly, my friends. And of course, stay bullish, my friends.